Patrick, Patrick, you just told me that the first fly came into your house yesterday. We had our first about a week ago. The dog went outside. The sliding glass door was left
Yeah.
open.
Yes.
All hell broke loose, and
This
it's that time of year.
this was me bringing in the groceries yesterday, and I saw him come over there out of the. You should always shut the garage door when you're bringing in the groceries, right? Because they're buzzing around out there, and if they're in the garage, they're coming in the house. And I just heard him about 2 minutes ago, but I can't even see him now. I like the August fly. He just kind of finds a place to sit. You can walk over and smack him with the newspaper. But
Yep.
this guy has just been buzzing for 2 days, and I just hear the buzz. I don't even see him, but I'll get you. I'll get you eventually. You'll
He'll
do
slow
something.
down.
You'll do something. We'll get you eventually.
He'll get fat, happy,
You dirty
enjoy the
son of a
house,
gun. Yeah,
and
you serve no purpose, flies. I gotta tell you that the world would be a better place if we didn't have you.
the
So
the key is when they go to the window, right? To like look outside and
yes,
think, how do I get back outside? I liked it
yes,
outside.
yes,
And then they
right.
just sort of walk around and that's where the newspaper and I
Yes.
mean that's the thing is although I don't know that my Star Tribune sports page that I
Maybe,
got
yeah, we
this
can't.
morning, I
You
can't kill
gotta, you
flies
gotta,
with this.
you gotta take the whole damn newspaper to kill them with them. Now you can't take a section. It's just you gotta take the whole thing
What is this?
today. Well, I was optimistic today, except then we had a full page of classifieds. Plus, it's all flag football and stuff that I don't know. It's you gotta be a loyal person to still be taking the print. I'll tell you that. Congratulations if you are. It helps. I think taking the print it helps if you're not a sports fan, right? If you're just if
Oh
you
yeah,
if, if
now.
if you're interested in news and entertainment and stuff
Yeah,
like that, then
variety
then
section.
then it's a lot. Then it's kind of remindful of a newspaper. It's not really. If you're a sports fan, it's not really remindful of a newspaper anymore. But I guess that's the way it goes. What the hey? Hey, I got a question for you. Who? When did they start putting this Florida Panthers team together? Who did it? And how did this happen? Because about 4 years ago, weren't they like a joke of a franchise? Not, I remember driving by there when I was,
Yeah.
a decade ago, and they was that arena out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody went to their games. They were drawing 6,000 a game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's responsible for this machine that has been created?
Well, first of all, this is their third consecutive final. They lost to
Okay,
Vegas, and then they beat the Oilers
okay.
last year, and now they're up 2-1 on the Oilers
And
this
last
year.
night beat them bloody,
Oh
right?
God, yeah. Their GM is a guy by the name of Bill Zito,
Huh.
who has been the GM since 2020. I think one of the I think the most important thing that happened there was when they made the trade a few years ago for Matthew Tkachuk with Calgary.
Okay.
And because I think his arrival there signified to guys, oh, okay, these guys are going to try to win. But here's the most incredible thing. You want to talk about the state of hockey, right? Which we claim as
Yes, 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 yes.
it's Florida, Pat. The Tampa
Yeah,
Bay Lightning were a model franchise. They're still pretty
yes,
good, but I mean, they won
yeah,
cups, right?
yes.
Now they are,
Their best. They won 3 cups, and the best team they ever had got beat in the first round
yeah.
by Columbus. So,
But now
and
they're succeeded by the Florida Panthers,
Panthers, yes.
who have been to three consecutive cups. The state of hockey is no question Florida.
Well, they're going to have five when this is done because I don't think Edmonton can beat them. They're going to have 5 Stanley Cups in the state of Florida. Which is only 5 more than us. Now they got two. They got 2 teams, and we only got one. But I mean, didn't they have to beat Tampa in the quarterfinals this year? Right? Didn't they have a good 7-game series with Tampa, Florida? Didn't they this year?
No, I thought they
I
start.
thought they
Well,
had. I thought they had a
I'll
series with
find it. I'll
Tampa. I
find it.
thought they had a series with Tampa.
They started off against they played Toronto.
Okay. Yeah,
I
they
know.
took Toronto out.
Let me see if I
Toronto. No, Toronto got out of this. Toronto got to the second round this year, didn't they? Didn't they?
yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes. They
yeah.
they did. Keep talking. I'll find it for you.
Okay, okay. Well, anyway, it's it's pretty amazing. I don't watch long hunks of them, but every time I turn it on, they're beating somebody bloody. It's pretty phenomenal. They got a little, so they got a Kachuk, so they got a little meanness to them too, in addition to
Oh, and
talent.
he's yeah, and he's a respected guy too. So they beat the Lightning in 5 games in
Oh,
the
really? That was not a good
that was
series at
not a good
all.
series. Then they beat Toronto in 7 games
Yes.
in
That's
the
that's when all the Toronto Stooges were standing outside. They were
yes.
finally going to beat it. It was 6-1, wasn't it? Something like that. The final, game 7, they beat them bloody,
Yes, and then
right?
they beat the Carolina Hurricanes in 5 in the Eastern Conference Final.
And was game 7 against Toronto in Toronto, or I guess no, that was game 6 because they Toronto had a chance to clinch it, right, in game
Yeah, but I mean
6.
that franchise has become a model franchise, and before that, you should have to. We should actually have the state of hockey be a movable term. You
Yeah.
should have to give it up.
Yeah, yeah. When one state has won 5 of them and you've won none, you're no longer the state of hockey. Sorry, it isn't. You know, of course the whole state of hockey thing was then taken out to was brought here by Lewicki, who had
Yep,
the state of football in
yep,
Seattle. Right, he's the guy that came
genius.
in there and said he got every high school jersey in Washington and put it somewhere in that new stadium and all these signed footballs and that's you look at the Wild and one one of our sports person of the year when you were still at the Star Tribune, I believe, did we choose
Jack
somebody,
Sperling.
Jack Sperling,
Jack
yeah, who
Sperling was
was
yeah.
kind of the genius, but he had the Wikis and he had this whole thing of sports geniuses, and it remains the greatest marketing model in the history of Minnesota sports. What they have done, they are still filling that place up 25 years later without any notable success, really, right?
No, one play,
I
one
got
one
one
legitimate
player.
run.
Yeah, well, one, two.
22 years ago.
They, the Timberwolves have now won two, four, six, 7 playoff series total.
That
Seven
sounds right.
playoffs. Yeah, the Wild haven't won many more than that, have they? The Wild
No,
have won. They haven't won a playoff series since 15, right?
right, 10
They
years.
won 2 there.
Hmm.
Then they won 3 with Jock. Have they won 5 or 6 total? Something like that. I don't know. Did they win any between Jack in 2003 and 2014? Did they win a playoff series?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
no,
Wow.
and then they signed Parisi and Suter, and they won a couple of first round series, I
Yes.
believe,
Yes.
and that was that, and that's it. Yeah, no, they are the startup model for what that team did is one of the greatest
Oh, yeah.
examples in pro sports.
And I remember being at Aldrich Arena when they unveiled the name. We said, "Oh my God, what a bunch of morons these guys! What is this name? It's the dumbest name in the history of sports." And 25 years later, let's go wild.
Well, yep.
Let's go wild. You know what America does needs to know from their fans? Something that doesn't be something that isn't "let's go" and then the last name of the team that you're then the nickname of the team. Somebody's got to come up with something else, some other chant
Yeah,
that
we've got Let's Go, and then a team like the Maple Leafs have Go Leafs Go,
go
Go
Leafs
Leafs
go. All
Go.
we can have go. We gotta get more creative than that. With that, that's all. Everybody, let's what they do have in St. Paul is the trained youth of it can be 6-1 the other guys, and all of a sudden you hear all these young voices, "Let's go wild!" All the
Yeah,
8-year-old kids are, but hey kid, boo them, come on, let's train you like the old. It is amazing, and we've talked about it, how this team is treated compared to the North Stars when they were bad. When the North Stars were bad, there might have been only 6,000 people, but they booed the living hell out of them. Remember, they go out in the power play and
because they
knock
could afford to get drunk.
yeah, right. Yeah,
It
right.
was
It
all these
cost
guys,
you
blue collar
three
workers
bucks.
who
Yeah, guys from the bar jacket crowd from East St. Paul would drive out there. They'd get loaded, and if you had a bad power play, they'd boo the hell out of you.
Yep.
Now nobody, how often do they get booed during the season? About 6 times all
They'll
year.
get booed at the end of period. The funniest thing is it's totally predictable. If they play a bad period, they will get booed off the ice. But then
Uh-huh.
but then if they something goes
Yeah,
well, that's it.
yeah, but and it's not like it's uh you go to dang near every game. I go to 5 a year, but I've seen some stinkers, and it's when people are leaving. If you A couple of times I've popped out of there, didn't have to write, so I left like with 3 minutes to go, and the mom and dad and the two kids are just jumping down the hallway, having the time of their lives. They just got beat 7-1 or something, and they're
Yeah.
all happy. But I say, because of what they did so fantastically well is market the families to get
Mm-hmm.
the kids, and you're not gonna be driving back to Woodbury with the two kids saying, "Wasn't that a bummer?" The 10-year-old and the 7-year-old. You're not going to say, "Boy, that game stunk."
Yeah.
Like at Met Stadium, if you were the son of a guy from East St. Paul and 13 years old, and yeah, that damn Goldsworthy didn't do anything tonight. He stunk. You'd get honesty. You don't get honesty now
That's
from
because back then, one, the kids didn't go, and two, if they did, they sure as hell weren't wearing Goldsworthy number 8
no,
jerseys.
that cost two hundred and twenty
I don't remember a
dollars.
North Stars shop
Yeah,
in Met Center.
what a change that is, and the Twins to some extent have gotten jerseys now, but still, it's what 20% of the crowd, maybe max, jerseys for
Yeah, that's a good
Twins games.
question.
But
Yeah.
the Wild is
Oh,
80%, the Vikings is 90%. They have not. The Twins have not gotten into that jersey gouging crowd. But I will say, when they unveiled when they started the whole new era of Gopher of Twins baseball out at with the new hats and stuff out at the
yeah.
rotunda, I was going to buy the grandson a Buxton jersey, the Twin Cities Buxton jersey, 350. Ah, I gave the kid $100 and said, do what you want to do with it.
Oh, because it was too off. It wasn't
It
the
was
knockoff of the
no, no, it was going to be an authentic one.
authentic. Yeah, you can't. No, no, no.
No,
Authentics are
nobody can
ridiculous.
afford. Nobody can afford
I will
those.
say this: the Twins gear sells really well. I would say at Twins games you have more fans wearing the gear than jerseys. But
Yeah,
but 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 the difference is this: like when I used to go as a kid to Met Stadium, how many people had anything associated with the Twins on other than maybe a ball
yeah,
cap?
right. None. I mean, nobody. Or I don't even know what they sell. They might have had one little stand at the old
The
ballpark.
the
One
old
little.
souvenir stand sold like a T-shirt, I mean some stuff, and I
Yes.
think they sold a lot of Twins caps, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
They used to sell, Pat. I remember as a kid at the souvenir stands, they used to also sell like helmets of the opponent for that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's
That's right.
like if the
Good sell.
Texas Rangers were in town like they are
Yes.
tonight, you could buy a Texas Rangers helmet.
That is. I mean, every tickets, concessions, everything is enormously priced. But more than anything, it's having a kid in a sport now. The equipment what they're spending for equipment compared
Oh,
to 15 years ago. Hockey sticks for
oh my God.
300
I,
bucks. Baseball bats for 300 bucks. What the hell are you doing here? You
hockey
know?
sticks are incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And after about 2 months, the kid says, the life's out of this one. It doesn't have the bong on it or anymore. And I got to get, you go, kids, and not superstar kids, regular kids go through 2, 3 hockey sticks a year that cost mom and dad. $800 for the year, for God's
Have you
sakes.
picked them up too? They now weigh nothing.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they you cannot you just yeah, I mean that's what you forget. You know, you picked up Goldie's hockey stick. That was an effort, man. That thing
Yeah,
was like a
lumber.
lawnmower, you know.
Bring back the lumber. That's what
Yeah.
I say. Bring back the wood. If I had a kid, you know what? Wood stick.
Do we have any, we have wood bat baseball. Do we have any do we got
No.
any lumber hockey? Anybody? The old timers don't have a league where you got to use lumber?
I'm not as up on golf, but my sense is that hockey sticks and golf clubs have gone the same
Yes,
route.
yes, yeah. You need the old, big, heavy old golf club. Is
The old
speaking
driver.
of speaking of golf, they are at one of the they are at Oakmont. I think now Oakmont is this is their ninth Open, and that's more than any other place outside of Pittsburgh. And the guy who started it was I think a Scotsman who was a steel millionaire back there, and million was enough back then that designed his own golf course, this Oakmont. But I was reading about it. So when it started, it had no trees, and then they made a forest out of it, and then they took all the trees out again. There's no trees there anymore. But because they had no trees, the bunkers were raked. They had these 50-pound rakes that they used for the bunkers for their crew, and they put furrows in the sand traps were furrowed. So the idea being, you hit if you your punishment was you hit a ball in a sand trap, it stuck down in one of those furrows,
Oh, wow.
and so. I mean, the guys who designed golf courses, when you read about them back in the when it started in this country in the late 1800s, and then all those Scotsmen came over here, and they were sadists, man. If you didn't hit it, of course, they were hitting it 160 yards,
Right.
but if you didn't hit it straight, they wanted you to get punished. But this is the reading about the furrows is unbelievable. You hit it, you miss the green by 2 feet. It's in a bunker, and it's in a basically in a hole in the sand where you sometimes you had to hit it out sideways. They said.
Wow.
So anyway, of course, one of the great fun things about golf is the history of the dang thing. So and Oakmont is that's where Johnny Miller shot his 63 though, which is probably the most famous round in U.S. Open. And I might watch a little because I have not been this weekend, but I have not been watching much golf this year. I don't know. I'm not into it anymore.
I was reading that the word is the course is nearly impossible too.
Yes, yes, that's what they're saying. They got it.
Yeah.
They well, what they do now to the guys they know the guys are going to hit at 320, so they can't do anything with distance. So they hope it doesn't rain and make those greens as hard as they
Yeah.
possibly can, and then you touch the ball on a putting green, it goes zoom, and so that's the way they try to make the courses competitive now, just getting them so damn fast that you can't control the ball. So
Is golf the only sport where the common fan who also plays clearly, unlike lots of sports, is golf the only sport where we enjoy failure and actually
yes,
bad golf? Like it feels like if you watch a bad baseball, football,
yes,
hockey, or basketball game, you're like, that was a terrible game. I won a good game.
yeah,
In
yeah.
golf, it's like that guy. Look at what he just missed.
You watch a 42-35 football game and you're not mad, but you
Hmm.
you watch Ernie Els be 30 under at the Hawaiian tournament. You say, "What a joke this golf course is!"
Exactly.
You're right.
But
You
he
make
misses
a
an easy
very
shot. You're like,
you
yes.
make a very good point that you know we hate greatness. We root for the course instead of the players,
Yes.
which is really perverse.
But it's
You
like that.
know.
That was a terrible round. Wasn't that fun to
Yeah.
watch?
Yeah, it'd be like football, oh, it was great today. They had four guys blow out their knees. It was terrific. That team won't be worth a crap the rest of the year. Hooray! It's unbelievable. It is the sadist sport. There's no
It really is.
you know, I I don't play anymore. My knees are terrible, and I got so bad that later in life that I don't. But God, I was an addict there for a while. I was paying 50, 60 every Tuesday morning when I never worked. I go play someplace, even if it was by myself, and I'd play 50, 60 times a year, and it really improved my cursing. Golf did. I mean,
Oh,
it
I
really,
bet.
yeah, it's good for, you get in more inventive profanity when you're playing golf. That's because you can swear at the ball, you can swear at the bounce it takes, you can swear at the woods, you can swear at your partner, you can cuss at a lot of
It's also
things
very
playing golf.
accepted.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's
it
not like
is.
what did you just say? You're like, yeah, that was
Yeah,
worth an
yeah.
F bomb.
Yeah, that's right. Now if you happen to get on a good course, you might have to make sure the matrons who play there work
Sure.
around. You can't bellow it. You got to kind of. But anything you want to say under your not under your breath, but in a conversational tone
Yeah.
is fine. Is fine. Yeah, that's
Oh.
I'd say that's one of the keys to go. Wor Learn to curse very creatively in a conversational tone. Don't just yell.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Now I like it. I like it. Hey,
that,
how much trouble are the Twins in? Lopez is down.
yeah,
Matthews is
and
down, and Ober's velocity is down.
Zebby was throwing a little better, and Ober, yeah, is. I mean, to me, he's been a phenomenon. Now, throwing hard has never been his secret, but I think more than being down to what 90 or something, 89, but. I think more than that has been his control has not been as good, and they're spoiling a lot more pitches. They're making him throw more pitches, and I mean, he he gets people out throwing 91 mile an hour up because he got that late release point, and I think the ball kind of jumps. I think the ball gets there a little quicker than they're used to getting there. But yeah, if he's getting so that he can't even throw 91 or 92 anymore, then he's got a lot of problems. And that changeup, I am sure that they have been, all the hitters are, becoming more knowledgeable about that changeup he throws, which has been unhittable until the last couple of games. Nobody, I mean, his, whenever they do the stats, I think they're hitting about 140 off his changeup or something. So,
Hmm.
yeah, if he goes through a funk here, I don't know, So, I mean, what are the odds of Paddock making it to the finish line?
That's what I said.
I mean, it's great for him. I think
Yep.
it's he's a perseverance and all that stuff. But my God, all of a sudden, after what 5 years of injuries, he's gonna make 28 starts for you.
I know.
Yeah, I think they're. It just shows, man. I always say you need seven, but you might need more. You might need eight. You might need nine. When your season starts, you need seven. But the Dodgers. Now I don't know what this is, but Wicker told me I was talking to Wicker
Oh,
yesterday that
yeah.
the Dodgers have more money on the DL with their pitchers
Yep.
than like half the teams in baseball have for payroll. They have a incredible amount of 14. Now, I don't know if these were all major league guys or triple A
Hmm.
guys, but they got 14 pitchers on the DL, which is incredible. And by God, it will always be the DL to me. I don't care if they call it the IL. Why did we change that? What
Because we
the
thought it was offensive to
disabled
cite
people?
disabled.
Disabled people? You think disabled people who got up in the morning and they're disabled and say, "Boy, this offends me that we said that some pitchers, you know, disabled people, people in the nursing homes and those, that's your best baseball audience. They don't have any
Those are
trouble
your
with
shut-ins,
disabled.
Pat.
Yeah,
As
they're
Sid used to
shut in.
say, what about the
Yes,
shut-ins? What's going to
yes.
happen?
We got all the bars at Target Center, Target Field with different names and stuff. We should have that little tiny bar down there,
Of
the
the
shut-in
shut-ins?
bar in honor of
I
the
miss
shut-ins.
the shut-ins were a staple of Sid's column, and I miss it.
column and especially the Sunday morning
Oh,
radio.
yeah, true. Good point.
Yes, if you weren't in favor of building a twin stadium, you were you were anti-disabled piece
Old people. You
people.
didn't like the old people that were. How are they going to watch games? The funniest thing is Sid, God bless him, would never identify with those folks, despite the
No,
fact that he was older than a lot of
yes,
shut-ins.
right, that's right.
But damn it, he was going to use them as the platform for why we had to build a stadium.
He was the fastest non-shut-in I've ever seen. 90 years old, he still was a fast walker.
Well, and
His
yeah,
daughter told me they used to go someplace. She still had two kids, like had to get the kids out of the back seat and get them ready. By the time she get the kids out, he'd be 2 blocks down and never look back. He'd be 2 blocks down the street. Sad,
I
help
think
me here.
my favorite thing towards the end, but not at the end, was when he got a walker and decided that and found out how to
Use
use
it,
it as a
use
battering
it as a
ram.
weapon. Yeah.
As a so he'd be knocking people's legs.
Yeah, that group around the lockers when he wanted to get his microphone in there, that was a great weapon for him to hit you with the
At
walker.
one
And
point, he was just carrying it, so he's not
yes,
using it; he's
yeah,
carrying it, and he's hitting people.
and man, I wish I had those legs. Though. Honest to God, the second time we had the Final Four in the Metrodome, which was '98, maybe was it
No, it was
92 and
2000. It
'90?
was 2001.
One. Oh, was it 2001?
It was
So
early
we had it in
2000s.
92 and then
Mm-hmm.
2001.
Mm-hmm.
So 2001, he was, well, he, was damn near 80, right?
Yep.
2001, he was close to, well, he was because he was 1920. So he
Yep.
was 80, 81.
81 ish.
And my friend Lennox from Winston-Salem was here covering the Final Four. And the game ends, right? And then you had to walk up that ramp to go back to the back in the
Oh yeah.
for the interview rooms.
Oh yeah.
And he said, all the old sports writers are kind of walking up the hill. He said he saw this blur coming by him, this guy just going by, and he looked up and said, that's Sid. He's climbing that hill, just zooming right by all every the 30-year-olds. He was blowing by them. He had the greatest. You know what Dick Cullum always said when he hired him was he hired him because he had the best legs in sports writing, meaning he would go everywhere. He had the best legs, and there's no doubt that at 80 years old he
Yeah.
still had the best legs in sports writing. So crazier than a hoot owl, but we're all we're all better off knowing having worked with him and knowing him though, because it was such a treat. And of course, your story is one of my favorites. When Glenn made the mistake, you were his guy, you were his Bobo,
Oh, it was
right?
Sid's Bobo.
You were
Yeah.
his official
I
Bobo.
would. Yep.
And then Glenn Cremier said, I think Judd would do a good job with that notes column when you're done, Sid. You were done. That puts you in. You got fired, right? Or were you still his Bobo when you went to Green Bay, or had you already been fired as his
Nah,
Bobo?
I don't remember, but I did. But yeah, so well, and that was one of the. I don't know at the end, but that was one of the great misconceptions was that Sid didn't write his column. Like I
No,
always was. Oh, somebody else writes, and I'm like, no,
no,
because I was the only guy allowed to edit his column
editor.
for like 3 years, which by the way was hell. But
Yeah,
but he would always write it. You just had to sort of make it English, but not take the Sid out of it.
and check all the spellings and
Yeah,
stuff
but you
like
couldn't
that.
take the Sid out of it. That was the most important thing because he wrote with us. He had a style.
Yeah. Oh, he did. Yeah,
That
yeah, and he
voice. He
didn't.
had that
Yeah, he did
voice.
want. Yeah, you couldn't try to make it more colorful or anything like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been. But one of the great tragedies is when we changed their computer systems, they lost
Oh,
the years of Sid name spell. I
oh,
mean, it was. If you ever need, you could look on ATEX, which it was great, by the way. It was way better than what they have now. Uh, But you could, if you needed a laugh someday, if you were feeling down, you could just go into Atex and find a list of Sid's names, or
Orville
Orville,
Burville,
Orville Burble. Who was Orville Burble?
Daryl
Burble.
Bevel.
Daryl Bevel, Orville Burble.
Seifert found that one.
Yeah, right. Oh man, it was fantastic. Some of the ones, yeah, it was. Yeah, I went back to the '60s with him, and man, when you had to get the half column cuts, the
Ugh.
engravings to go with the column, if you came back and you said you didn't find them, he would talk about cursing in the public domain. He would, you know. He would offend you, your utter stupidity in front of everybody that you couldn't find it.
Well,
But I
yeah.
always say, that's okay, Sid. I brought a Max winner. I hadn't read your column, but I figured there were a Max winner in there. 80% of the time it was in there anyway. So
Oh God.
anyway, so
Yeah.
let's see. We got the Twinkies playing Texas, which has been kind of a disappointment this year. I guess they got a pretty good lineup, and
Yeah.
I don't know. That's you know the, the the pitching is just, what are you going to do now? That, because you can't. We talked about this a couple of days ago. You can't really take the bullpen, and you can't do the 4 inning bullpen with their good guys every day. Every other
Mm-mm.
day maybe. But Louis Varland already, what, leading the league in appearances already, right?
I think so. Yep. And Griffin Jacks has given up as many home runs in like 28 innings this season. It's four
Yes.
as he did all of last year in like 70 plus.
I still like him a lot, but there's the other day when he came in, and he's throwing a changeup a lot more, and that's good to fool a guy. But I'd rather have him throw the slide ball, because
Yeah.
that the home run he gave up the other day was off a changeup. And when they lost the game, when he came in and blew the game on Saturday, was off the was it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
They won on Sunday.
Sunday. So yeah, that's right, on Saturday, and he'd been on a little run there, but he came in and kind of threw the changeup in the middle of the plate. And, you know, the hitters. It is amazing, though, Judd, how, I guess we mentioned this the other day, how few pitches are in the middle of the plate now when you watch the box. I mean, everybody's. They're not trying to throw strikes. They're trying to throw strikes on the line,
Yep.
inside or outside. I mean, the middle the middle 12 inches of the plate are not being used, man. They are all trying to, and that's why we got so many 3-2 counts. That's why we got so many bad arms, because you're trying to throw that sweeper with the big break on it and ruin your elbow. And that's my theory anyway. That the variety of pitches now is one of the reasons you're having so many arm injuries. I think you're trying to ask that elbow and shoulder to do a lot more things than when Bert would threw the fastball, curveball, and occasionally changeup.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
but they'd have a little slider too, but they had one major breaking ball back then, and whether it was a slider or a curveball,
You're right.
fastball, a changeup, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah. The theory of location has changed totally.
Oh God, yes, yeah, yeah. Just throw strikes to hit the line. We don't want strikes in the middle of the plate, and I think all the technology has made the arm harder. Made it
Yeah.
harder on the arm.
Well,
So
and they've got the box now, so like you can literally see where you're aiming. You're aiming for like the top upper corner of
yes.
the inside of the box where
Well,
so
well, the other thing is, you don't get, Greg Maddox, God love him, would have had to change his pitching completely. Would have he been what he was if he didn't get 2.5 inches off the plate every time? No, we wouldn't be getting it now, right?
well, yeah, and the way that he threw as far as the fastball, the speed too. I mean now it's like if you're like that, if you are an artist, which
Yeah.
is what we used to call them, I don't know that you get the opportunity.
No, yeah, right.
You don't
Not,
throw hard enough for him.
yeah, that would be right. He was, it was, it was, you know, two. That's a strike for him. Is what the umpire's theory was. That's where he pitches. So that's
Right. They'll give
two
it to him.
inches, 2 inches off the plate. They'll give it
Yeah.
to him. And I think if anybody wants to look about how umpiring used to be, you got to go back and look at Eric Gregg's game again with Levon Hernandez. It was the damnedest
That's the
thing I've
Marlins
ever
game.
seen. Anyway, should I sell a car here?
Yes, sir.
Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Valley Group of GM dealers. Go to their website, Valley Group of GM dealers in Apple Valley. Look up the inventory they have now for the SUVs. My guy Suchi, who's a great car man, loves this Invista that they have. That's the kind of the smaller SUV. Joe was always calling it a station wagon because it looked kind of station wagony, but it's a really hot vehicle right now. And right now you got factory rebates that are good, and you also have low interest rates. And if you go out to Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, we have some finance people out there that'll make sure it gets done for you. The car you want at the price you want. I've been dealing with them for 15 years now, I think, and they're fantastic. So, Valley Group of GM dealers, look up the inventory on their website in
All right,
Apple
sir.
Valley. All
We'll
righty.
talk to you on Wednesday, Patrick.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.